Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha-Rakah, Qudash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And Shalom to the whole full elect. This video is going to be entitled Mentality of the ruling class. And basically this is dealing with having a ruling class mentality. And I'm going to hit it from a very basic angle, Lord willing. You know, is nothing too, if anything, is one deep, it's not too deep, nothing too heavy, you know, just like something I've been meditating upon. And it's one of those kind of things that when the apostles mentioned it, it captivated my mind towards this truth. It's always been one of those kind of topics that, you know, reels me in. So I'm sure I've done a video on it before, but it's always good to do another one, you know, multiple. And it's one I'm gonna hit it from this angle. I'm gonna hit it from. I hope that whoever tunes in is edified. So I'm gonna get right into it. This is Exodus 19:5. Okay. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then shall ye be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. Okay? So I'm going to read it again. I'm going to break it down. Right? So it says, now therefore, if you obey my voice, whose voice? Who's being spoke to right here? Israel. Okay? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as it will be known today, but who are also the descendants of those so-called races all throughout the earth, who are the true Israelites, okay, according to the Bible, in accordance with their father's line. If they go back to Israel, they're Israelite, okay? So it's saying they should hear his words, and it says what? And keep my covenant. So the covenant is, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments, which in the book of Exodus, the 24th chapter, going back to when the covenant first come into play with Israel, Moses basically had the congregation of Israel there and sprinkled the blood upon them when they said that they will keep and follow the commandment, the covenant, okay? And in doing so, that means they have to keep a set of laws, statutes, and commandments, all right? Then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, okay? So basically, this is something that J. Cole's get twisted. They'll be like, yeah, the melanin, or, you know, we're just built different. We got God status. Yeah, we're built a certain type of way, but really it's like, look at it like this. We ain't ruling. And why aren't we ruling? Because the Lord said, keep my covenant, and you shall be peculiar treasure unto me above all people. The fulfillment basically comes into a whole, all right? Which you should remember that word whole as well. It comes into a whole when you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, all right? That's the integral thing. You're going to know why I'm exaggerating those words at some point. But anyway, I'm going to read on. It says, for all the earth is mine, all right? All the earth is Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, all right? So rightfully so, he can give it to whoever you want. He has already entered into a covenant with the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites. So why it's easy for him to hand over the world to them, but as long as they stick to the rules, basically, all right? And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. Okay? So, yeah, if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments, we shall be a holy nation and basically going to be above everyone. Okay, so having a ruling class mentality is really rooted in integrity, okay? And the word integrity basically goes back to the word whole, okay? Because having integrity is being undivided, as it tells you in the word, book of James 1:8, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? Luke, I believe it says it to that effect. So basically, having integrity is having a whole-minded approach to everything. And in having a whole-minded approach to everything, that is rooted in the law, statutes, and commandments. Once you have full command of that, then you basically have the ability to rule, a ruling class mentality. What was Moses told to do by Jethro, right? He was told to find, actually I believe the Lord told him to do this. Jethro told him to find out people to basically manage his affairs on different levels to their ability. But basically, what the Lord told Moses was to basically sort out people. Actually, I think it was Jethro, but basically said that, look, sort out people that understand the word, the laws, and everything, and set them up in certain positions, basically to rule in that office. Okay, and that's basically what is part of it. That's in order for you to have a ruling class mentality, you have to have integrity. You have to be whole-minded. You have to understand what you're doing. Without that, you can never you can never have integrity. You can't rule. Okay, even the word rule, okay, goes back to the Latin word reg, okay, which basically means to move in a straight line, okay, and basically moving in a straight line is what basically determines rulership, because everyone's following you because you're moving in a straight line. How can you move in a straight line if you don't have integrity, if you're not whole-minded, right? And it reminds me of the book of 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, where it speaks about in order to get to the kingdom, you have to go through a narrow path that has deep water, roaring fire on one side and a deep water on another, okay? Because you have to walk a straight line, all right? Even the word ruler, or like a ruler, literal ruler, is a straight line as well, okay? And it's used as a measuring stick, okay? And what would we measure? We're told in the book of 2nd Ezra, 9th chapter, what? Measure the time diligently. And our rule of thumb, our measuring stick is what? The law, statutes, and commandments, but mainly rooted in prophecy, okay? So it shows you, all comes to a whole. You need to know the law, statutes, and commandments, but also you need to be aware of the prophecy, okay? But also that denotes rule, that straight line. It also says like to hold. It basically speaks of a scepter as well. And if you know anything about the scepter, that goes back to the shepherd, okay? The shillelagh, the rod, the staff, which basically is a symbol of you being a shepherd over the people, which are your sheep. And you have to guide them to the green pastures for them to be fed, okay, and look after them. So in order to have a ruling class mentality, that means that you have to have ability to take on leadership roles what's for the best interest of your flock, all right? Which Yahweh is the one, all right? He's that man, okay? So the Lord gave us his law, statutes, and commandments, and he told us in the book of Deuteronomy in the 4th chapter that it would be our wisdom amongst the nations, and then they'll basically look to us and say, look, these have to be the people of the Most High, because what people have such laws. Because obviously when they get the understanding of why we don't do certain things, then it dawns on them like, raw, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? And that's why it says anyone that basically it's Psalms 125:1, but I can't remember what it says. I don't want to grab it for the interest of time, but basically says like anyone that believes on the Most High will become established as Mount Zion, right? And Zion means a monument, so a monument is a memorial to remember something, okay? And Zion's a remembrance of the Most High power, a reflection of something that can't be seen, okay? And through Yahweh being a mediator, he has allowed us to become sons of the Most High power, as it tells you in the book of John, the 1st chapter, 1 and 12, okay? So I'm going to give an example which shows you, okay, because in order for us to become the sons of the Most High, it goes back to the garden. What did the serpent say to Eve? He said that, yeah, he told you not to eat of the fruit because he knows once you eat of it, you shall become gods. Okay, and that's true, all right? But in becoming gods, you have to it has to be exercised. Okay, that's not something that you just get given. It's something that's exercised within you in order for you to obtain it. Okay, godhood basically. So right now we're being exercised into godhood through the manifold temptations of our faith. All right, the proving of our faith. Okay, until we enter into godhood through Yahweh Bar Hashem Yahweh Shai Bar Hashem Harakah Kodash. It'll be done. All right. So here's an example of that exercise, that temptation, or the experiment. So this is Daniel 3:14. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Okay. Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up. All right. Now, if ye be ready, that at the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, if ye worship not, ye shall be cast in the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? All right. So basically, he's saying he's God, mate. Basically, okay, because he wants, and which is crazy because the power that he's idolizing, he's more or less giving it power because he's saying that, your God can't deliver you out of my hands, right? Because of my God, but that God's an idol. It's a nothing, all right. He's blowing smoke up his arse, basically, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. And this is really the reason why I brought up this example, is because of the integrity. Okay, knowing law, statutes, and commandments that you're meant to basically stick to, all right? Like honoring the Sabbath, not eating, abstaining from certain foods, certain meat and certain foods and whatnot, right? Not committing adultery, all right? Things of that nature. Those things are honorable. They're integral things in accordance with the law. But you have to be whole in order to do those things, all right? So that means that ultimately, one thing that's very powerful that isn't utilized well in this kingdom is the ability to say no, okay? And I don't mean it in a wicked way. I just mean like maybe most of the time when these temptations arise, you have to say no, okay? And that's what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said in verse 16. It said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. So they basically said, we ain't careful. We're just gonna tell you what it is. If it be so, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve the gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Okay? Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and so up until that moment he was entreating them, but when they said that, when they basically put their foot down and said, no, we ain't doing that, that's when the tables turned. He said, look, man, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Therefore spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in the army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast him into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men which took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? Then answered and they said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt or no form. No hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of the Most High. Alright? And that was basically Yahushua in the midst of the flame. Right? Obviously looking real with stature. Okay? Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and basically they more or less prophesied that, look, we ain't scared to do, to not follow it. If you throw us in there, hey, the Lord's going to deliver us. They prophesied it, which was to the glory of the Most High power. Okay. Ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in of the midst of the fire. And the princes and governors and captains and kings' counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon those bodies, whose bodies were no fire. Upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed. Neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any power except their power. See? The Lord gave us examples for what? For our learning, okay? For us to always remember and look back and say, he didn't fail them, so he's not going to fail me. And us being in this present predicament, we need that more than anything. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is none other power that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Alright, and promotion comes from the Most High power. Okay, so I'm going to finish up on this. And Lord willing, you be edified, man. So it's Revelations 2 and 25, and it reads, and this is basically a quotation of Psalms, the 2nd chapter. Okay, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves against the anointed, saying, come, let us bind. I can't remember after that, but basically they want to take the rulership, but it's for Yahushua, and we being joint heirs with Yahushua, it can't be taken from him nor the nation of Israel. Even though you have the 2/3 on this side that are going to be taken, ultimately they're going to wake up in the kingdom ashamed with their head down, but ultimately at a point their heads ain't going to be hung low no more, and it's going to be hung high, and they're going to be squaring in on everyone that done them wrong and that did actually deceive them. But anyway, let me read this. It's Revelation 2 and 25. But that which ye have already hold fast till I come. Alright, what are we holding fast? Okay, we're fastening on our seatbelts in his word. Alright, we're holding close to the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we have. Right, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Alright, so he that overcomes at the end and keeps the works, law, statute, commandments, the words of the prophecy, they will have power over the nations. What did we read in the beginning of this video? Exodus 19, right? And 5. And that was one of the main things, be given power, right? So, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. And it's fitting that the rule is denoted by a rod of iron, okay? Because that's gonna be the measuring stick. If someone don't fall in line, what are you gonna do? Like a sheep going out of line of the flock where you're leading them, you gotta hit them back into position. And that's what's basically done by the rule of what? The law, statutes, and commandments, okay, which you're measuring them against to whether they need to be broken into a pot of shivers. Broken to shivers, sorry. Even as I have received of my Father, and I will give them the morning star, Yahweh Shai, okay? He's the star of the morning. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. So with that, man, that's a lesson. Pray you were edified. Say shalom.